Well, hello there, private practice success community. Gerda here, of course, and I hope that you've had a productive Thursday. So as normal, what I'm doing here is doing my 90-day vlog challenge, and believe it or not, today is vlog number 27. Wow, time just flies. And what I want to do is share this vlog in my groups, because I'm actually doing this live stream specifically based on a discussion that's been happening in one of my Facebook groups. So let me just get this. So I'm going to share it in the Private Practice Success for Allied Health. That is actually the group where this issue that we're talking about today was raised. And I want to make sure that the guys are there, if they are available at this point in time, this time of the day, that they can participate. And if they're going to watch the recording, that you can ask questions afterwards. So it's vlog number 27. Before I get stuck into vlog 27, I want to thank you, those people that joined me for vlog number 26 last night. So the whole idea last night, hi Frankie, thanks for joining. So the whole concept and idea around last night was for me to read you the chapter 1, which is my story in my book. And we had a lot of technical difficulties. A lot of you stayed around, some of you didn't, which I totally understand. So what I've been doing today, who else has joined? Jocelyn, thanks for joining. So what I actually did today is I took those 3 different live streams, I uploaded it into iMovie, and I turned it all into one video for you. So I'm going to post it up on my Facebook page and in the groups, so those guys that missed it or that lost it or can't understand why there's 3 different live streams for vlog 26, that is why internet difficulties. So I'm going to make it really easy for you to watch it all in one go. So let's get stuck onto today's topic, which is subcontracting challenges. Now, if you are a group private practice owner, you've probably found yourself contemplating this issue. Hi Anna, thanks for joining. If you are a clinician, then you've probably been on the receiving end in terms of being the subcontractor in a subcontracting relationship. Now, hi Trudy, thanks for joining. I can see who's joining, guys, but just so that you know, I actually cannot see any comments. So please know, I'm not ignoring you if I'm not answering specific comments, but I can see who's joining. I can see Jocelyn saying hi Gerda. Okay, awesome, so I could at least see that one. Fabulous. So subcontracting is a big issue, and normally when people come and they do my masterclass weekend workshop, we spend 2 hours on the Sunday morning, because that workshop runs over Saturday and Sunday, 2 hours literally going through the contract that I give them to use, and the big part is really explaining how to implement it. So I'm going to try my best to really condense my message to you today. So the reason why I started this vlog or decided on this subject is that there was a question in the Facebook group around a subcontracting agreement at a private practice, and the practice owner basically wondering and questioning whether their contract meets all the requirements, because one of their clinicians were challenging the agreement and was saying it looks more like an employee agreement. Now, what I would tell you is this. The thing I often see when it comes to this topic is a lot of fear. A lot of fear amongst the practice owner. They are so scared of doing the wrong thing, of having the wrong contract, of getting into trouble with the ATO, around tax and around super, all of that type of stuff. And I get it. You know, you don't want to do the wrong thing. You want to do the right thing. But I really want you to make these decisions not from a place of fear when it comes to subcontracting, whether it's subcontracting yes or no, and when it comes to the how of your subcontracting, but really basing what you do and the decisions that you're making based on facts, based on the rules and the regulations, and not based on fear. Now, we also know that with a lot of stuff, there's different interpretations when it comes to things. If you just think of a clause in our ethical code of conduct, depending on who's reading it, they're going to have a different interpretation. And even though the ATO laws are very clear, when it comes to subcontracting, there's a lot open to interpretation. So I, as this employer, that's not really the right word, but I guess the person engaging the subcontractor or employing them, but as a subcontractor, let's say if I do that ATO tool, I'm going to answer it from my perspective. The subcontractor is going to answer it from their perspective. And sometimes those perspectives are misaligned, which is why I always tell my masterclass people on the weekend, it's not really about what's in the contract. Yes, step one is to have an amazing contract. Not amazing that it's fun to read. Those contracts are normally like 20 pages. There's a lot of legal jargon and all that type of stuff. But you need to have a contract that addresses everything that it needs to address. But then, more importantly, you need to implement that contract properly during your day-to-day operations. So the ATO is very clever, and they should be, because there's a lot of sham contracting happening out there and people being done in. So the ATO says that even if you have a proper subcontracting agreement and it ticks all the boxes, you've got all the relevant clauses that makes this a subcontracting agreement, but what you're doing here, on the other hand, in real life, is not implementing this contract, then yes, you are leaving yourself open to this being tested and this being found to be an employee relationship instead of a subcontractor relationship. Now, I always just laugh because it's so important to treat your subcontractors as subcontractors, all right? And sometimes I, as a practice owner, have to say no to certain requests made by my subcontractors, and they might get upset at me. And I would go, well, it's a no because you're not an employee. I would love to say yes, but I just can't. And I think as clinicians, you can't have your cake and eat it. If you decide, yes, I'm happy to be a subcontractor, you also need to know that there's certain things that you can't get as a subcontractor. And if you choose to be an employee or work at a practice that engages you as an employee, there's certain privileges of being a subcontractor that you're not going to have. You can't have it both ways. And as a practice owner, that annoys the shit out of me. That's just by the way. I have an amazing team, by the way. I'm talking about in the early days, in my first 3, 4, 5 years of private practice, when I was still getting my head around this stuff and I wasn't really good at positioning my team around the role that they are playing and the role in which they are engaged. That's when that happens. So you also need to be very clear with clinicians that you take on board that you're a subcontractor, that's what this involves, or you are an employee and that is what this involves. And then to really remember what those, I guess, rules of the game are in terms of how this one works and how that one works. But please stop being so fearful of what's going to happen. Now, some of you might know this because I share this story at my introductory level workshops, but I have twice now been reported to the ATO. Not because I was mean, not because I was a bitch, or not because I did anything wrong, but it basically happened where I terminated both of those two people's contracts with the practice in a very nice way. It just wasn't working out. And what is the ultimate revenge, guys? The ultimate revenge is for them to report you to the ATO. So what happens when you get reported is that person, of course, behind the scenes reports you. Then you get a letter from the ATO to say you've been reported, and you get a 43-item questionnaire to say that you now need to complete this and send it in. Now, the other day I was sorting through my filing and I found this document. Now, this document is my response to the very first person that reported me. Okay? You see how thick it is. So when you get reported, and I'm a stickler for details, And I know when you deal with an organization like the ATO, you need to be a stickler for detail or you will come off short. I'm not a lawyer, but lawyers are also sticklers for detail because stuff is in the detail. So this is what a response to the ATO looks like if you're being challenged. But guess what? If you have been running your practice and you've been implementing your subcontracting agreement appropriately, you send this thing in. Yes, it's like doing a uni assignment. But guess what? This took me 2 days, a whole weekend to put together, because this was the first one. The second time I will report it, which was about 2 years later, it took me 2 hours, because guess what? Then I had a template. So the first person actually did me a favor, because now I have a template in terms of submitting this stuff. But, and again, you send that in and then they came back to you and you get this envelope and you're so stressed and you feel anxious because, oh my God, because this is going to possibly break me. Because if somebody's been working for you for 2 years and you have not been treating them like a subcontractor and they are claiming super and tax, that's a heck of a lot of cash, which a lot of small businesses do not have. You know, cash flow is one of the biggest challenges that small businesses have. So unless you have a lot of money behind you, that's going to be really hard to pay back. So you wait and you open up that envelope and you're so anxious, and thank God both times, and the second time I must say I wasn't that nervous, but both times they came back and said, we've assessed it, we've come back that this was a true subcontracting agreement, you all good, Mrs. Muller, and we will advise the other party of the outcome of this investigation. And, you know, and that's okay now. I guess once you've gone through that fear response and through that whole process, I now know with confidence that the contract that I use is sound, but I also more so know that the way that I implement it, although sometimes it means that I'm not very popular amongst my team, and sometimes I really want to give them stuff and do stuff for them, which I can't, but I have to protect the integrity of the contract, which allows me to protect the long-term longevity and viability of my practice, which means I keep the doors open, and which means that I keep to help more people in better ways through my practice by sticking to the law and doing what is right. So to summarize, don't make a fear-based decision. Make it based on information, on the facts, okay, and work according to that. And very importantly, once you have a contract, make sure that you know what everything in it means, and then make sure that you implement it in your day-to-day life, in your practice, in that way. So let me just pop that. It says low power mode. Hopefully the battery lasts so we can finish up. So you are more than welcome to get yourself a copy of my contract. Now, if you attend my masterclass weekend workshop, and by the way, you needed to have attended an introductory level workshop in order to enroll into the masterclass as a practice owner, you actually get the contract as part of that content on that weekend. However, on my website, it's called gerdamuller.com.au. If you go to the tab that says educational resources and you click on that, you will come to a whole page full of documents and templates and things that you can get for yourself and that you can use in your practice. So of course there is an investment in terms of purchasing this contract, but I've made sure that it's very, very affordable compared to what you would pay if you were to go to a lawyer. So I'm just checking here. So if you go to a lawyer to get this done, it's going to cost you no less than $3,000. I'm making this available for $1,797. So $1,797, and that includes GST. I will not sell this contract to you without including, and it is included, a bonus 45-minute session with me where I take you through the contract and I tell you these are the clauses that makes this a true subcontracting agreement, and this is how you need to implement it in your practice. And if you ever were to get challenged and you need to do one of these, this is the evidence that you need to have to show this has been a true subcontracting agreement. All right, again, just a disclaimer, I'm not a lawyer, I'm not a financial advisor, but I've been in private practice for 10 years. I've been subcontracting people for 10 years. I've been employing people for 10 years. So I've got psychologists that are employed. I only have three of those across the two practices at the moment. Everybody else at the practice is a subcontractor, but I make sure that I follow the rules and that I give them all their rights and privileges, but also responsibilities that comes with being either the subcontractor for those that subcontractors and employees for those that are employees. And I'm more than happy to share my contract, but you will need to have a session with me, because I cannot give you something like that and just leave you to implement it by yourself. You have to do that bonus session, 45 minutes, where I take you through it, and there's especially 6 clauses that makes this inherently a subcontracting agreement, and that you will be questioned on when should you ever be reported. All right, if you've got any other questions, please feel free to pop it on below. I'm happy to answer those comments. And, you know, I look forward to hearing from you as always. So remember, guys, all you need to do is say yes to your very own level 5 private practice. I'll speak to you all again soon. Bye for now.